Welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge, joined by Fabrizio Romano. How you doing, Fabrizio?
I'm Mark, all good. Thank you, and thanks for all the messages to Manchester United fans. I read you in the chat.
Thank you very much. We are good to go here, of course. And I suppose, look, there's lots of things I want to talk about: Gutierrez, Neves, Ugarte, a few different things, and a few outgoings. But it would be wrong of me if I didn't talk about Ligt and Zirkzee. It feels like your "here we go" tweet could be coming for the first time this summer transfer window very soon.
Yeah, for Zirkzee, I think we are almost there. For De Ligt, there is still work to do, so we are not at the stage yet for Matthijs De Ligt, but the negotiation is going well with all parties involved, especially with the player. We know how important is the player, especially in this kind of negotiation. So Matthijs De Ligt gave very clear indication to his agent to negotiate only with Manchester United, despite the reports we had from Germany on Paris Saint-Germain or maybe also other clubs entering the race. I'm told that Matthijs De Ligt only wants to negotiate with Manchester United, is giving total priority to Manchester United. He believes that this is the perfect opportunity for him to go to Premier League, a big club, but also to have the possibility to work again with Erik ten Hag, because recently at Bayern he was not a regular starter, was not feeling the confidence from the manager. The same happened with the Dutch national team. He's not playing, so he really wants to feel important, and he believes that Manchester United have a project also including him as a really important player. And so the agreement with the player is not an issue. The negotiation between the clubs are going well, but we are not yet at the final stages, so there is still some work to do between clubs, and then I think we will get closer to the here we go for De Ligt. For Joshua Zirkzee, we are almost there. I think we are really at the final stages of this story. It could be any moment, because Man United in the last 3-4 days had very positive contacts with the agent of the player and with the player himself. In both cases, with De Ligt and with Zirkzee, Erik ten Hag had direct contact with the players, messages, calls, so sending clear messages over the project of Manchester United and the intention to go for both of them. Now Man United have an agreement with Zirkzee, have the green light of the player to join the club. Despite he agreed terms with AC Milan 1 month ago, Man United were able to change the story in the last 3-4 weeks. And now the contract is ready, the commission is ready. Man United just have to decide whether they will pay the release clause in one solution, 40 million euros, or if they negotiate with Bologna for maybe a different package, something maybe around, 42, 43, something like that, but paying in 4 or 5 years. So this is the point, but in any case, Joshua Zirkzee is going to Manchester United.
Perfect. We'll stick with incomings because I think it's better than going backward and forwards. Sam C, who works with the United Stand, he's put a tweet out in the last sort of 20 minutes talking about the Donny van de Beek deal, and that Manchester United, as part of that, have held talks with Girona about Gutierrez. Is that likely a deal? We do need a left back. I mean, that for me would be a dream signing in relation to that left back situation.
Yeah, look, I'm told that Girona don't want to lose any other big player because they already lost Savio, who's going to play for Manchester City. So I don't think Girona will make life easy for any club interested in Gutierrez. Also for Dovbyk, for example, they have a release clause of 40 million euros. So it's not an easy one. What I can confirm is that Gutierrez is one of the left back that Manchester United have been scouting this season. They knew since September, October that the situation had to be assessed for the left back position in the summer transfer window. And so they start monitoring several players. We already mentioned here Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth as one of the options they appreciate. Gutierrez is another player they've been scouting. At the moment, I'm still told that nothing is advanced for that position. They have different priorities, as we mentioned, the striker, the defender, but for sure they want to cover that position. So Gutierrez is a very talented left back. Don't forget that Real Madrid still have a buyback clause for him. So the control of Real Madrid on the player is still there, and we have to see in case Man United or any other club decide to activate the option for Gutierrez, what Real Madrid decide to do. But in general, he's one of the players they've been scouting. I'm told that the full focus now between the two clubs is to get the green light from Donny van de Beek to this move to Girona, because the two clubs have agreed on terms. The medical is also important, obviously, with Donny. So waiting for these steps before saying it's a done deal. And then we will see also on Gutierrez or any other option.
I read, I think it was a couple of days ago, you said that PSG were getting a bit walking away from the João Neves deal, maybe looking at Kimmich. Is that Manchester United? Obviously, what's the situation with the midfielder? We know Ugarte is playing very well in the Copa America, and Man United have held talks with PSG. But are Man United anywhere near João Neves, or would they be out of? Is everyone just leaving him at Benfica now because of the price?
Look, I think it's very difficult to sign João Neves this summer. And I'm told PSG are not walking away. PSG consider João Neves their top target, but they know that at the moment, July, then we know that in the market things can change in 2, 3, 4 weeks. So let's keep the story open. But as of today, Benfica want 120 million euros. The deal is close. They don't want to negotiate. They don't want to change the payment structure. They want to continue with João Neves next season and maybe sell him in summer 25. So at the moment, it's a really complicated story. We know Man United have been tracking, following the midfielder for months. He's always been one of the favorite options at Manchester United. The same did also other clubs around Europe, because also Arsenal and PSG, as we said, consider João Neves a fantastic player and perfect for their idea. But at the moment, from Benfica, the message is clear, 120. So the only way to change the story is if Benfica at some point of the market decide to negotiate over terms, because to go there and pay the release clause is something almost impossible for PSG. Imagine also from United and English clubs with financial fair play, it looks really, really difficult. So I think the only way is if Benfica later in the window decide to change their stance. But as of today, I think it's really complicated.
And if that's the case, do you think this story around Ugarte, would you say that he is the midfielder that Man United are looking at now, or do you think there is a possibility that they could look at somebody else like a Rabiot or a Fofana, or are the talks with PSG moving quite forward?
I think it's still open. It's not only Ugarte. So Ugarte for sure is an option they have on the table. The contacts on player side were really positive. Very good relationship with his agent. Also, the player is keen on joining Man United even without Champions League football. He believes that Premier League can suit him for his skills. So Ugarte is really keen on a move to Manchester United. And also important to say, PSG are open to selling the player. So the message sent to Paris Saint-Germain during the talks they held with Manchester United in the recent weeks was quite clear. They are open. They know that Ugarte is probably not the exact player needed for Luis Enrique. Was a complicated season for him at Paris Saint-Germain. So they are open to this possibility with Man United, but they insist they've still not received an official bid from Manchester United. So they had conversations. They have very good relationship. Also, the presence of someone like Blanc, who used to work for Paris Saint-Germain, is important in the relationship they have with PSG. But again, at the moment, is not something in terms of negotiation advanced, because PSG insists they have not received any formal proposal from Manchester United. So let's wait how Manchester United decide to act on this story. I think it's also about the timing. Now the focus is on Joshua Zirkzee. Then it's going to be on closing the deal for Matthijs de Ligt. We know that Man United might also add one more centre-back. That's a possibility. So there are some things to do for, I think, in the midfield position. And for the midfielder position, I think it's also important to understand what happens with Casemiro, who is still attracting interest from Saudi.
And you mentioned the centre-back situation there. Apparently, there's going to be a meeting today whether we bid for Branthwaite again. There was talk over the weekend. I think it was David Ornstein mentioned Lenny Yoro again. Second centre-back, where would you be thinking United might move around that? Because Yoro's probably Real Madrid, and Everton want big money for Branthwaite.
Yeah, Man United will consider several options. I think they're still not clear who's going to be the second centre-back. There are really several options being considered. Yoro is the dream target for Man United, for Liverpool, for Paris Saint-Germain. All these clubs have made contact with his agent, Jorge Mendes, but already since March, April, to ask about the situation of Yoro. And the answer, even in the last 24, 48 hours, is still the same. Yoro wants to wait for Real Madrid. So he's only waiting for Real Madrid. He's dreaming of Real Madrid. So the only way to open the story for Lenny Yoro is Real Madrid decide to pull out of the race with Lille, because Lille are still asking for something around 45, 50 million euros for a player who is out of contract next summer. We know that Real Madrid sometimes prefer to wait till the end. I remember what happened with Camavinga a few years ago. So they prefer to keep a long negotiation instead of paying big money immediately. So at the moment, the situation for Yoro is still with a player waiting for Real Madrid, and for Man United is a complicated one, super appreciated, but complicated one. And for sure, they will consider other options. Branthwaite remains the name they have in the list, but also in this case, depends on Everton more than on Man United. Man United will not pay, from what I'm told, 65, 70 million pounds for Branthwaite. So the only way is if Everton decide to drop the price and to negotiate with Man United, they are more than happy to sit at the table again and negotiate for Branthwaite, because the player wants to go to Man United, is open to joining Manchester United. Now, it really depends on Everton, because they insist on 65, 70 million pounds, and for Man United, that's way too much at the moment.
Just before we move on to the outgoings, because a lot of people asking about Sancho and Greenwood, I wanted to ask just very quickly, personal question, Frimpong. Is there any movement on Frimpong this summer, do you think? If Wan-Bissaka goes, surely Man United buy a right back. So have I still got hope, Fabrizio, or are we not going to go there?
Yeah, but the appreciation is for the player is something that we mentioned many times here. We know about Jason Wilcox knowing the player so well since he was at Manchester City Academy. So the feeling between people at Man United and Frimpong has always been a very good feeling. But at the moment, I can guarantee they've not made contact with Bayer Leverkusen. So I don't think it's something for this moment of the market. As you mentioned, maybe if Wan-Bissaka leaves, they could open to the possibility of bringing in a new right back. And Frimpong is available for a release clause. It's something around 40-45 million euros. But Leverkusen insists they've not received any proposal. Also, the player is fully focused on the Euros. So I think at the end of this week, maybe beginning of next week, the situation will be clear for Frimpong, and we will understand what he wants to do too, because the position of the player is also important. At the moment, it's not something concrete or advanced. But again, he could be a very good option in case Man United sell a player in that position like Wan-Bissaka.
Let's talk about some of the outgoings. Just very, very quickly, a few people talking about Amrabat. Obviously, his loan's over now, so I presume he'd be back training with Fiorentina soon. Have you heard anything with regards to, there's Amrabat and also Jadon Sancho as well, who we don't know whether he's back training yet, but has been linked to Juventus. Maybe a swap deal with Chiesa?
Look, for Amrabat, he's waiting for Manchester United. I can guarantee that he's still waiting for Manchester United. They've still not informed the player or the agent about the decision they made about him. So they're still taking their time. At the moment, Amrabat wants to wait for Man United. Otherwise, if like in 1 week or 10 days, Man United have not communicated anything, Amrabat will start considering other options. But as of today, still waiting for Manchester United. For Sofian Amrabat, there's still no decision made. So I would keep that option open. And for Jadon Sancho, the interest of Juventus is concrete. He's one of the players they have in the list for the winger position. They will bring in a new winger because Thiago Motta doesn't want Federico Chiesa. Chiesa is available on the market. At the moment, I'm not aware of contacts with Man United or any other club, but could be any moment for any club because Chiesa is on the market. Chiesa is available, is 25 million euros. Juventus want to change on the wingers, and so that's why Chiesa is made available. He's out of contract next summer, so it's a good price, 25 million euros for a player like Federico Chiesa. He's also open to an opportunity abroad. So Chiesa is not the kind of player who says only Italy. He's also open to the possibility to play maybe in Premier League or Bundesliga or whatever. So he's really keen on that kind of possibility. But at the moment, still no official bid to Juventus. For Jadon Sancho, let me say that Juve really appreciate the player. Juve made contact with his agents. If you remember, Juventus already at the end of November, beginning of December last year, were considering Jadon Sancho. Then Borussia Dortmund entered the race and they were the favorite option for the player. But the appreciation of Juve has always been there. So they really like Sancho, but they need to sell one player before making any formal bid for Jadon Sancho. And this is why Chiesa could be an important part of this domino for Sancho to Juventus.
Do you think, Fabrizio, if I mentioned like Bruno Fernandes last week, we heard all these Saudi stories again. We were talking about PSG and they're the only club that's ever shown any interest in Marcus Rashford. It sounds like it's going to be a big week for Manchester United with them back in training and having these conversations with the senior team that's now been assembled with Dan Ashworth and Barada. Do you see a Marcus Rashford or a Bruno Fernandes leaving Manchester United? Is there any possibility of that?
Look, the only possibility is with a big proposal. With a big proposal, anything can happen, also for these players. But at the moment, Man United have not received anything. So the agent of Bruno Fernandes, for example, I remember it was around the Champions League final, so more than 1 month ago, he had some meetings with important clubs around Europe and also in Saudi to consider some possibilities, to understand how was the situation on the market, but there was never a negotiation, never something advanced or really concrete on Manchester United table. What I can say on Bruno Fernandes is in case Bruno Fernandes will end up staying at Manchester United with no proposals from big clubs this summer, I think they could maybe enter into new contract talks with Bruno. That could be a possibility. But again, it depends on what happens this summer. At the moment, it's still quiet. The only way is with a big proposal to Manchester United and to the player too, of course.
Just finally on Mason Greenwood, he looks like he'll be the first player out the door. Obviously Donny looks like he's going to go, but Mason Greenwood not back. Well, apparently he was at Carrington today just to have a quick conversation, not training, and there's a lot of interest. So you would hope and expect that Marseille or Lazio would get that over the line this week.
Yeah, Marseille are the absolute favorite to make this happen, more than Lazio. Marseille sent an official proposal to Manchester United today. Man United are also open to the possibility of a loan with obligation to buy, or permanent transfer is basically the same, just depends on when you receive the money. But in terms of formula of the deal, Man United are quite open, but they want a big sell-on clause included in the deal for Mason Greenwood. When I say big, it could be also more than 30, 35%, maybe 40. So it could be an important part of the story, how much they get a sell-on clause for Mason Greenwood, because they believe that the future value could be massive. So this is why Manchester United want a big sell-on clause included. Negotiations with Marseille are going well. The player is also keen on the move. Roberto De Zerbi wants Mason Greenwood. So I think this is a concrete possibility for Olympique Marseille. They hope to get the deal done in the next days. Negotiations are going well. Let's see, but for sure for Man United, the story with Greenwood is over.
Fantastic, Fabrizio. We've been through about everything there, and I know you're a very busy man. And I'm hoping today you might say, "Here we go for Zirkzee." Do you think that's going to happen?
I hope for you. It depends on the club. I will let you know soon.
Thank you very much. Absolute legend. And we'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you. Ciao, guys. Ciao.
Cheers. Bye. Fabrizio, very busy there. But look, I could have spoke to him for an hour. I'll take these off. There's so much to talk about in there, of course. And we've already spoken about the left back. If you're not on time, you're not on time. We went through absolutely everything there. I will summarize it as I always do. As was said there, I mean, I think Zirkzee any second could be here we go. Will it be today? Will it be tomorrow? Who knows? But that's going to happen. De Ligt, we've got to sort out the transfer fee with. But I think the Mason Greenwood's. I want to talk about the left back. I want to talk about the midfielder. I wanted to try and, Fabrizio's dropping a lot of information at the moment, as is David Ornstein, and I don't want it to be repetitive. So I want to delve into areas like the Gutierrez story, the Frimpong story, the Neves story, the Ugarte story. Maybe Rashford and Bruno. I want to find, what's going on in different other areas. And I think the Mason Greenwood one's really interesting to me, how we may loan him, because that was always money that we were going to be looking at, with him, because I think that we were looking at that money from Greenwood, and if we're going to do a loan, then that money's not coming in this summer. I mean, technically, well, look, I don't know. I also think if you're going to sell Mason Greenwood to Marseille, and you're going to put a 40% sell-on clause, when was the last time Barcelona or Real Madrid gave Marseille £100 million for a player? I don't get what Greenwood's sell-on value is from the French league as well. Look, if I'm Man United and I want to put a 40% sell-on clause on Mason Greenwood, I want him to play for Atletico Madrid. Because if he plays for Atletico Madrid, he'll play in the Champions League and he'll play in La Liga. And if he scores a load of goals there, he probably will go to Real Madrid or Barcelona for £100 million. But if he scores a load of goals for Marseille in the French league, I'm not convinced he's going to go for £100 million. So I don't know. Look, if that's where he wants to go, and De Zerbi and Marseille, I just think it's not about business, is it? Go where you want to go. But I really did not expect, if you'd have said to me when he was playing well for Getafe, he was going to end up playing in the French league, and I said, why? Italian league or the Spanish league, I get it. I know the Premier League's not really an option for him at the moment. On Jadon Sancho, we're not talking to Chiesa at the moment, so swap deal for Chiesa, not really on the cards, but Juventus are looking at Sancho. We're still awaiting an update on Jadon Sancho from Man United as to what's happening. We know Greenwood was at Carrington for a quick meeting, but he didn't train. Very interesting around the left-back situation. Sam, who works with the United Stand, he put it out earlier that whilst talking to Girona about Donny van der Beek, we also spoke to them about the Gutierrez left-back, who is very, very good. He had a very good season last year, and he would be the sort of left-back that you bring in and he starts. He's not going to be Luke Shaw's understudy. He's going to start. And I think that's the sort of left-back that we do need to bring in, because Luke Shaw, injury-wise, is so unpredictable. Whether you can do a deal like that, I think his release clause is about £30 million. So, I mean, if you pay the £30 million, it's got nothing to do with Girona. And as Fabrizio said, Girona don't want to let him go, but they've got no case if we want to pay £30 million. But again, the trouble with release clauses, as we've got with Zirkzee, is that you've got to find that money straight away. And it's interesting what Fabrizio said about Zirkzee, because we're speaking about this. If you pay the release clause, it's £34 million straight away. But if you pay, and I think Fabrizio said about 40, we could end up paying 6 million more for Zirkzee to Bologna, and people will think that's stupid, but it will allow us to pay that 40 million pounds over 4 years, maybe, so 10 million a year instead of giving them 34 million pounds now. Well, you probably make that money back. You know, we're not all millionaires, far from it, but if you give somebody 34 million now, but you give them 40 million over 4 years, you can make that, you can earn that in bloody interest. It's a no-brainer from a business point of view. So I think that might well be the case that happens with Zirkzee. Interesting with the left-back situation. We're not really looking at it at the moment because we've got our other priorities, but it'll be interesting to see what we did there. I did ask about the right-back and Frimpong. Clearly, again, it's not something we're massively looking at the moment, but if Wan-Bissaka goes, we're going to have to look at it. Mario Franco says the release clause on Gutierrez is £29.5 million. Thank you very much for that, Mario. Make sure you smash a like on the video, everybody, and please do subscribe. Also, I did ask the question about João Neves. PSG are apparently looking at Kimmich now because the João Neves deal with Benfica looks so difficult. Fabrizio's latest on that is that PSG still would like to do a deal. Man United would like to do a deal, that Benfica are insisting on 120 million euros. Forget about it. Forget about it. I had this conversation with you the other day. It's fine saying you want 100 million pounds for a 20-year-old, but we would have asked 100 million pounds for Greenwood at 20. We would have asked for 100 million pounds for Rashford at 20. We would have asked for 100 million pounds for Martial at 20. Look at all three of them now. They're not worth 100 million pounds. So I think clubs can do what they bloody well like, but until buying clubs wake up and actually start saying no, it won't change. Like, João Neves could be a massive flop by the time he's 23, and he's cost you 100 million quid, and you're giving Benfica 30 million pounds for the next 4 years. We can't do that. Like, clubs need to start using add-ons more. I don't know why it's not become the norm in football, but add-ons are just the obvious way to do it. Of course, they want their money up front, but they don't get their money up front, do they? It ends up being paid at, you know, when Chelsea bought Enzo Fernandez, I don't think they gave them 100 million pounds up front. They're giving him bloody 12 million for the next 10 years, aren't they? So I just think add-ons are the way to go. And if Benfica aren't being realistic, then you can't do that deal. Ugarte, latest from Fabrizio, he wants to come to Manchester United. He's willing to play for Manchester United, but Man United have yet to do a bid with PSG. Good relationship with PSG, but we've yet to put a bid in, probably because we're working on Zirkzee and De Ligt at the moment, and Ugarte is part of the Copa America. So if he wasn't, you could have him pre-season training today, but I suppose we're lining up our ducks a little bit. It looks like this week is about Zirkzee, Greenwood out, and De Ligt in. That looks like what we're trying to get done by Friday, doesn't it? And 3 deals in a week is not terrible. We just need to keep at it and keep working at it. On the second centre-back, not a lot going on really there. There are a lot of options, of course, but it really is about Branthwaite. And I mean, well, there is an update there, isn't there? Because Lenny Yoro is definitely waiting for Real Madrid. But as Fabrizio said, Real Madrid, they're almost like, you know, they don't need to rush, do they? It's like everybody wants to date a girl, but she wants to date the guy, and he's like, I'm playing FIFA, you know, or I'm out. You know, he has got the app, or he or she or whatever. But you know, he has got, Real Madrid have just got this power over players where they can say, yeah, just wait. And you've got PSG, Man United, Liverpool wanting to do a deal now, but you've got the player who's going, well, I'm waiting for Real Madrid, and Real Madrid are going, yeah, we'll just wait and do it when we want to do it, because we might wait till August the 31st when Lille give us a quick deal. So I think at some point, Man United might need to get real on Yoro and go, yeah, we can't keep waiting on this. But there's also Branthwaite in the equation as well. Can we loan Ugarte with an obligation to buy, says Grace? I wouldn't mind us doing that. It depends whether PSG want to do it, but I wouldn't mind us doing that. I mean, I'm still hopeful with PSG that there are maybe a deal we can do with them and they do a deal with us somewhere. It's very clear to me that Man United's cash flow is the problem. I don't think our ambition in the transfer window is the problem. I think we want to get players in. And, you know, it's only early days with Ineos, but I think it's very clear that they want to get as many problems solved as quickly as they can. But obviously, we all know we operate in this world of debt and FFP and high wages and problems of getting rid of players. So I think that, the fact that we're even open to loaning Mason Greenwood with an obligation to buy just shows that, are we looking at that and going, that's the best deal we can do now? Let's just get it done. And it's going to be about where we raise money. I mean, as I said, release clauses are great for Frimpong and Gutierrez and Zirkzee. But there's a flip side to release clauses as well. You can go to Leverkusen and say you want to buy Frimpong and it's £34 million release clause. If he hasn't got a release clause, they might say we want £70 million because he's had a good season. The problem is, if it's £70 million, you give Leverkusen £22 million for the next 3 years. But if you pay the release clause, you've got to give them 34 million, and it costs us a lot of money. And I think at the moment, United are really strategizing how to make deals work so that they can do as many as they can, as they want to do. Mario says, have you seen these weird Chilwell reports? I don't believe the Chilwell reports. I really genuinely don't. It makes no sense. Some people think it's homegrown. We don't need to worry about homegrown. We've got plenty of homegrown players, and we're not going over the limit of foreign players anyway. The Chilwell stuff has to be a load of bollocks, really, doesn't it? What else? Amrabat. Well, Amrabat's waiting on Manchester United still. Echoes of David De Gea last season, isn't it? Where we're sort of just keeping a player there. Look, my feeling about Amrabat is, if you know, you know. If you want to keep him, look, I thought Amrabat finished the season really well. But if you're still undecided, you've already got your answer, haven't you? I mean, if we're being really harsh, if they're still undecided on Amrabat, the answer is already there. If we really think he's good enough, would we really be waiting? And I think what United are probably doing is looking at the market and seeing if they can do any better. And if they can't do any better, then you bring Amrabat in for the 15 million it's going to cost. And I just think it's going to end up being a no, because I think it's a very, very obvious. I mean, in some ways, I wouldn't disagree with somebody if they said it's exactly what we did with Ten Hag. We went out and had a look if there was anything better, and there wasn't, so we stuck with Ten Hag. It's similar, but then it's not similar, is it? Because this is a midfielder for Manchester United. There are plenty of midfielders out there. There are literally hundreds, and you've also got younger midfielders coming through, like Collier. It's not the same as a manager who is won 2 trophies in 2 years and has a CV and has got young players coming through. I think with Amrabat, the answer's there, and Man United probably know it. We're going to keep him if we can't find anything else, and that's, I don't think that works really, does it? On a winger situation, nothing. I didn't ask certain questions because we already know the answers to them. Nothing concrete with Sancho. Nothing concrete with Chiesa. Asked him about Rashford and Bruno. Nothing at the moment coming forward from PSG or Saudi Arabia. And I feel that with regards to Bruno, I'd be absolutely stunned if we sold him. And to be honest with you, I'd be absolutely stunned. Rashford was back in training today. I think now he's back. I think there'd be more chance of Rashford going if he was part of the England setup and not back till late July. I think now he's back at Carrington, and there'll be a bit of a buzz around, and he'll probably be the best player there because he's had a good summer off, and he's the biggest star name at the club at the moment. So I imagine he'll be in a good headspace, and Ten Hag's always backed him. So I can't see Rashford going. I just think he'll come back, positive attitude, fit. He'll be the best player in the team because all our other good players are not there. He probably is going to captain us in the preseason games. Ten Hag's always bent over backwards to help him out. So I can't see anything happening with Rashford or Bruno, hopefully. But what I will say is, I think with the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire is apparently. I saw something today that Harry Maguire is not at Carrington. He's training somewhere else. Is he training in Portugal with Carvalho, the former Chelsea centre-back? So, yeah, I don't think Casemiro is back either. There's a few players that are not back yet. And I don't know how that works. I don't know. The players that I saw back, I saw Maybury, we saw Rashford, I think we saw Mount, but Maguire's in Portugal. Don't know where Wan-Bissaka is. And Casemiro and Anthony, don't know where they are as well. So yeah, I don't know, but those conversations with those people are going to take place this week, of course. Sheridan, welcome to the Members Club, absolute legend, appreciate that. So look, lots and lots we went through there. I think realistically, Zirkzee is going to happen any time. De Ligt will follow that. Greenwood is going to be some point this week. Marseille official bid for Greenwood, by the way. It's not talks, it's an official bid, and they are firm favourites now, as per Fabrizio. And obviously, this is the place where apparently Greenwood has wanted to go for a couple of weeks. Gutierrez, the left back, Man United aren't pursuing their left back target at the moment, but he's certainly under consideration. Remember, we've just done a deal with Girona, with Donny van der Beek. So maybe we can advance Gutierrez. I would love a left back like that. Frimpong depends on Wan-Bissaka, as we know. João Neves looks very, very difficult, and that is probably why we end up with Ugarte. Centre-back, plenty of options. The second centre-back, but Branthwaite and Yoro remain the priority too. Chiesa, nothing concrete at the moment. So Amrabat is waiting on United. Don't think anything happens there. I think what we need is just to get this. Here we go on Zirkzee. He'll be holding his shirt up, not for a few weeks anyway, because he's still part of that Dutch squad. Here we go on De Ligt. I'm at that point now where you get a bit greedy, actually. You know, Zirkzee and De Ligt for less than Anthony. You know, when you think about how much we paid for Anthony, we're getting Zirkzee and De Ligt for less than what we paid for Anthony. That's good business. But I am now, what's next? Those two are, you know, a week ago I'd have been like, are we going to get them? We're going to get them now. So what's next? Because there's so much business that needs to do. And I would like to see some people coming out the door as well. It's an 8 o'clock show tonight. Make sure you tune in, smash a like and subscribe. Loads for you to get your teeth into there. Absolute legends if you tuned in live. If not, give us your comments as per usual. Morning show was jam-packed as well. If you didn't see that, there's a load of stuff in the morning show that's nothing to do with this show. And we're live at 8 o'clock tonight. Unless we get those 3 words, here we go, before then. Hi, Mark. Zirkzee looks good, says Carrie, with his hold-up play, and he shoots with both feet. He's also big in size. I like the signing. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Carrie. Absolutely fantastic way to end the show. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care.